In the heart of the sprawling Old West, where golden fields met rugged mountains, lived a man known as Sheltered Shot Pinkerton. Contrary to what his nickname might suggest, he wasn't a gunslinger or a sharpshooter. Instead, he was an extraordinary cook with skills that could whip up a feast out of even the simplest ingredients. Sheltered Shot worked for a wealthy ranch owner named Rufus McAllister, whose expansive land and fine cattle were the envy of many. Every day, Pinkerton spent long hours in the kitchen, stoking the fire of his cast-iron stove and filling the air with enticing aromas. His specialties included hearty cornbread, savory stews, and sweet pies that could make anyone's mouth water. The ranch hands relied on his cooking to fuel their strength during grueling days spent tending to cattle and repairing fences. In Pinkerton's eyes, cooking was not just about preparing meals, it was about bringing people together. He had an unshakable belief that a good meal could lift spirits and strengthen bonds among those who shared it. With every dish he crafted, he wove stories of laughter and camaraderie, making him an integral part of ranch life. Little did he know that soon his skills would be needed in ways he never imagined. The ranch, a vast expanse of land, sprawled beneath a brilliant blue sky, dotted with fluffy white clouds. Towering mountains framed the horizon, their rugged peaks standing guard over the golden fields below. The air was filled with the sounds of nature, birds chirping, cattle mooing, and the gentle rustle of grass swaying in the breeze. At this bustling ranch, life never stood still. From dawn till dusk, ranch hands moved about with purpose, tending to the cattle, mending fences, and riding out to check on the herds. Each day was a new adventure filled with hard work, laughter, and the camaraderie that came from sharing long hours under the sun. As the sun climbed higher, the ranch's energy surged, fueled by the promise of Pinkerton's meals. Food played a vital role in this lively setting. It was not just sustenance, it was an essential part of ranch life. Pinkerton's hearty meals provided much-needed energy for the weary workers and served as a gathering point where stories were shared and friendships were forged. Around the long wooden table in the dining area, laughter echoed as hands filled their plates, celebrating another day of hard work together. Little did they know that soon, their unity would be tested. As life thrived on the ranch, a shadow loomed in the form of the rail baron, a powerful and cunning figure who controlled the railroad that sliced through the heart of the region. Known for his sharp business acumen and ruthless methods, he had plans that could disrupt the harmony of ranch life. The rail baron saw lush lands and hard-working ranchers as opportunities for growth, willing to push anyone aside to expand his empire. With his slick-back hair and finely tailored suits, he traveled in an armored train that symbolized his wealth and authority. The train was not just a means of transport, it was a fortress on wheels, brimming with resources and armed guards. Rumors swirled among the ranchers about his intentions, some whispered that he aimed to buy out local lands, while others feared he would forcefully take control. The tension in the air was palpable as ranch hands exchanged worried glances during meals. They knew that if the rail baron succeeded in his plans, their way of life would be in jeopardy. Sheltered Shot Pinkerton could sense this looming threat. It made him more determined than ever to protect his friends and family on the ranch, unaware of how soon he would need to put his skills to use in defending them. The morning sun hung high in the sky when a deep rumbling echoed across the ranch, signaling the arrival of the armored train at Cannon Point. Ranch hands halted their work, squinting towards the horizon as the massive locomotive approached, its iron body gleaming ominously in the sunlight. The train was unlike anything they had ever seen, its length seemed to stretch endlessly, and it bore a formidable cannon mounted atop, towering like a menacing sentinel. As the train came to a halt, dust swirled around it, highlighting its imposing presence. The workers exchanged anxious glances, their earlier camaraderie replaced with unease. They could feel the weight of uncertainty in the air as whispers spread among them about what this machine of iron and steam might mean for their future. This train wasn't just a mode of transport, it represented the rail baron's power and intent. Pinkerton stood at the entrance of the kitchen, peering out with worry. He recognized that the sight of the cannon signaled a threat beyond their everyday struggles. Determined to protect his home and his friends, he knew that the time for action was drawing near, and he needed to gather his courage and devise a plan before it was too late. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the ranch, sheltered shot Pinkerton focused on his kitchen duties, unaware of the brewing conflict outside. He bustled about, chopping fresh vegetables and stirring large pots filled with bubbling stew. The comforting scents wafted through the air, enticing the weary ranch hands, who would soon gather for dinner after a long day of work. For Pinkerton, cooking was more than just preparing food, it was a way to show care and gratitude to those who labored tirelessly under the sun. He believed that a warm meal could mend spirits and strengthen bonds among friends. Today, he planned to make his famous cornbread alongside a hearty beef stew, hoping to lift their spirits amid the unease that had settled over the ranch since the train's arrival. As he kneaded dough and tended to the simmering pots, Pinkerton felt a deep sense of duty to provide for his community. Little did he know that while he focused on nourishing his friends, danger loomed just beyond their gates. The tension among the ranch hands would soon find its way into his kitchen, turning his peaceful meal preparation into a backdrop for confrontation. Just as Pinkerton was about to dish out the first servings, a loud horn blast from the armored train echoed across the ranch, cutting through the warm evening air. The sound sent a wave of unease through the workers, causing them to freeze mid-conversation and look towards the horizon. Dust billowed around the massive locomotive as it came to a halt, its imposing shape casting a long shadow over the land they loved. The ranch hands gathered near the corral, eyes wide with fear and uncertainty, their earlier laughter replaced by hushed whispers. "What do they want?" one worker murmured, glancing nervously at the cannon that loomed above the train. "Are they looking to take our land?" another added, worry etched on his face. Pinkerton stepped outside, a ladle still in hand, and felt the tension crackle in the air like a summer storm. He could see the fear in his friend's eyes and knew that this was no ordinary visit. As the train's doors creaked open, revealing armed guards, Pinkerton's heart raced. He realized that the peaceful evening he had hoped for was quickly unraveling, and he would need to rally his friends to face whatever threat lay ahead. As the armed guards began to unload from the train, a murmur of concern spread among the ranch workers. They huddled together near the corral, their faces etched with worry as they discussed the implications of the rail baron's arrival. "What if he tries to take our land?" one worker asked, his voice trembling. "We've worked too hard for this place to lose it now." Another ranch hand chimed in, "And what about our families? They're counting on us to keep this land." The weight of their fears hung heavily in the air as they contemplated what it would mean if the rail baron succeeded in his plans. Pinkerton, still clutching his ladle, could hear their anxious conversations as he moved closer to join them. He felt a surge of determination in his chest. These were not just his co-workers, they were like family. They had shared countless meals together, laughed at the dinner table, and supported each other through thick and thin. Realizing that their unity was their greatest strength, Pinkerton spoke up, "We need to stand together against whatever he has planned. We must protect our home." His words ignited a flicker of courage among the workers, reminding them that while danger loomed, their bond could be an even greater force. As fear gripped the ranch hands, sheltered shot Pinkerton knew he had to think quickly. He gathered everyone around, their anxious faces lit by the fading glow of the sun. "We can't let the rail baron take what's ours," he began, his voice steady. "But we need a plan, and I believe I have an idea." Drawing from his knowledge of the land and his culinary skills, Pinkerton proposed a strategy that combined both. "We'll create a distraction using food. I can prepare a feast that will draw their attention away from our ranch while we quietly prepare defenses." The workers listened intently, a spark of hope igniting in their hearts. He explained how they could establish a temporary camp near the train, luring the guards with the promise of a meal worthy of champions. "If we can get them to focus on what's cooking instead of what's at stake, we might find the time we need to protect our home." With newfound determination, the ranch hands agreed to Pinkerton's plan. Together, they began gathering supplies and setting up for what would be a bold stand against the threats poised to disrupt their way of life, fueled by unity and the promise of a delicious meal. With the plan taking shape, Pinkerton wasted no time gathering supplies from the kitchen and the storeroom. He envisioned a grand feast that would be hard for anyone to resist, a savory roast, thick with herbs, alongside his famed cornbread and a rich berry pie that could sweeten even the most hardened heart. As he prepared the ingredients, he shared his vision with the ranch hands, who were already buzzing with excitement and purpose. "While I cook, I want you all to set up a camp near the train," Pinkerton instructed. "Make it lively. Light some fires and show them we're not afraid." His idea was to create an inviting atmosphere that would draw the guards in, allowing them to relax while the real plan unfolded. As Pinkerton stirred pots and mixed dough, he could hear the ranch hands setting up camp, laughing and talking loudly to create an enticing environment. The aroma of the cooking wafted through the air, promising a feast that would be difficult for anyone to ignore. While they feasted, Pinkerton knew it would give the others time to prepare defenses against the cannon aimed at their shack. With teamwork and cleverness, they just might outwit the threat looming over their beloved ranch. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a dusky glow over the camp, Pinkerton finalized preparations for the feast. He caught sight of the guards eyeing their setup with curiosity, their interest piqued by the delicious aromas wafting through the air. The ranch hands moved quietly but purposefully in the shadows, ready to implement their plan while trying to remain hidden from view. Pinkerton's heart raced as he ladled out portions of savory roast onto plates and called out to the guards, "Dinner is served. Come and enjoy." His voice was inviting, but inside, he felt a tension that threatened to unravel everything. He watched closely as the guards approached, wary yet drawn in by the prospect of a hearty meal. With every step they took toward the campfire, Pinkerton silently urged his friends to finalize their preparations. They hid tools behind crates and prepared to act if things turned sour. The guards settled down at long tables, still unaware of what was truly at stake. In this tense standoff between hospitality and potential danger, Pinkerton remained focused on executing his plan flawlessly. He hoped that by distracting the guards long enough, they would buy time for his friends to devise a way to protect their home from whatever peril lay ahead. As Pinkerton served the feast, the guards sat down with plates piled high, their initial wariness slowly melting away under the spell of the delicious meal. Laughter and chatter filled the air, creating an atmosphere that was warm and inviting. Meanwhile, out of sight, the ranch hands moved with purpose, securing tools and preparing defenses just beyond the campfire's glow. In this moment of camaraderie, Pinkerton felt a surge of hope. He watched as his friends exchanged knowing glances, signaling that everything was ready for their plan to unfold. The guards were too engaged in enjoying their food to notice anything amiss. Just as Pinkerton had hoped, the distractions worked wonders, allowing his friends to set traps and barricades without drawing attention. Suddenly, a sound broke through the laughter, an unexpected clatter from behind the crates where they hid their tools. Pinkerton's heart raced as he feared they might be discovered. But his friends quickly rallied together, moving in unison to cover up their secret preparations while maintaining the illusion of a festive gathering. With teamwork and resourcefulness on their side, they turned what could have been a disaster into a clever advantage. As Pinkerton stole a glance at the cannon still trained on the shack, he realized that together they had created not just a meal but a powerful defense against their looming threat. As the last of the meal was served and laughter filled the air, Pinkerton felt a wave of relief wash over him. The camaraderie among the ranch hands was stronger than ever, and for that moment, they had successfully turned the tide against the threat of the rail baron. Working together, they had transformed a potential disaster into a demonstration of resilience and unity. The guards, unaware of the preparations around them, fully indulged in the feast, allowing Pinkerton's friends time to finalize their defenses. When the time came for action, they executed their plan with precision, catching the guards off guard and ensuring that the cannon aimed at their shack posed no immediate risk. In that whirlwind of teamwork and resourcefulness, Pinkerton emerged as a true hero, not for wielding a weapon or engaging in battle, but for using his skills and compassion to protect his community. He understood that courage often came in many forms, including stirring pots in a kitchen or rallying friends to stand firm against adversity. As the evening progressed, the ranch hands celebrated not just their victory over the rail baron but also the strength of their bonds. Together, they had faced danger and emerged victorious, proving that with courage and community, they could overcome any challenge that lay ahead.